Showing the pilot. Hello, cyberspace. That's my microphone. Yeah, it doesn't plug in. It's a symbolic microphone, okay? Testing. Are we good on the audio? Yeah, that's my imaginary crew. Look at that. It's got some junk in my fucking frame. Now I'm not in the center. Okay, now I'm in the center. We're keeping all this in because I want to be transparent, uniquely qualified to speak on topics and subjects not tackled by other podcasters. Now, I've been making podcasts for a long time. They say the only reason you don't succeed is if you quit. My longest running channel, I did continue to produce videos on it for a while. I got the subscribers up to like 80, which is nothing. And then I forget at what point I decided I didn't want to do that channel anymore, but I've done other channels, I've done other podcasts. Usually it's not so much I quit because I'm too discouraged that I'm not getting any views or anything. I usually just get to a point where I have nothing left to say based on the theme or overall premise of the podcast. I just get to a point where I don't know what else to say. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of like, and I kind of lose interest, and then I just cancel it. I set all the videos to private. You can't watch it. So I've been podcasting a long time. I've been doing internet content for a long time. But I remain in the underground. I remain unknown, not famous, no clout, no money, no bitches. And you know, I'm not monetized, so I can cuss as much as I want on this shit. My name is N. Pandit Cole. I'm a self-published author. I am also a recording artist. My music is available wherever music is streaming. That's N. Pandit Cole. E-N, separate word, P-A-N-D-I-T, separate word, Cole, C-O-L-E. N-E-N, Pandit, P-A-N-D-I-T, Cole, N. Pandit Cole. N is an old title they used to give to high priests and scribes during ancient Samaria. It essentially means you're a master scribe. Pandit is a term, a title that is adopted by the yogis of India. Once you attain divine illumination within Hinduism, you're considered a Pandit. Salute to Pandit Gopi Krishna, Bliss in Paradise. He is one of the, he was an ascended master who achieved 1,000-petal lotus of Kundalini, and he took on the title of Pandit Gopi Krishna. That's where I got the title. That's where I learned about that title. So N. Pandit Cole essentially means illuminated one, Cole, or just the exalted one. So that's essentially what I'm getting at. I've studied mysticism. I've studied shamanism. I've studied a vast amount of things. Essentially, I started my journey to knowledge of self when I started freshman year at 14 years old. I've been doing this for about 15 years. Content, spiritual journey, you know, just my regular human quest through life. I've been doing all of these things, acquiring different skills, different subjects that I've studied. Recently, I have found a term that I now identify with. I identify as a polymath. A polymath, spelled P-O-L-Y-M-A-T-H, is a self-educated scholar. It's a terminology that is no longer utilized because mainstream society has discouraged individuals from the path of self-education. They have established a status quo in society so that if you do not go through their education institutions, you are considered illiterate, stupid, and idiot. You didn't go to college? You didn't go to a fucking university? You dropped out of high school? You're a fucking idiot, man. You can't be smart. School does not make you smart. It trains you to be a worker. College also does not make you smart. It actually means you're a dumbass because you're going into debt. Some fields do require school. Some fields do require university. If you're going to go be a fucking lawyer or a doctor or some shit, obviously the route you go is you have to go through those universities. But I'm talking about for free minds. And you know what? That's what I'm going to call this. The Free Minds Podcast. A polymath is an individual who's achieved academic scholarship, a level of knowledge equal to, but not even, really transcendent of that of somebody who went through university. But if you want to just say equal to that of an accredited scholar with a degree, that's what a polymath is. It means that you've attained a high level of knowledge and academic scholarship based on your own research and studies. We live in the fucking future. We have the internet. You can learn and study any subject you want for fucking free. You can get any books, textbooks, regular books, research materials. You can buy it off Amazon or fucking find it on the internet. There is absolutely no fucking reason that you too cannot become a polymath as I have. And this isn't something I decided yesterday. I didn't become a polymath during the pandemic. I awakened to knowledge of self and my journey as a polymath at 14. Which was in fucking 2009. Before 2012. A whole different era. I'm a millennial, the last batch, 1995. I'm about to be 30 this upcoming year. I've been here for 3 decades. Half of my life, from 14 to now, I have devoted to the fucking journey of self-knowledge and content creation. But not content creation like these little TikTok memes and shit like that. When I started this, there was no TikTok. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have like Instagram and shit like that. We had Facebook, we had Twitter. But social media, the advent of it had not taken over yet. If we had social media back when I was in high school, when I fucking formed my first rap group, I'd be fucking famous by now. I would have been famous before senior year, bro. We didn't have that shit. But there's a reason for that. I believe that I was born into the generation I was born into so that I could see the wave of the future that this generation is faced with and the struggles that they must overcome. But I also am enough a part of the past generations that I'm a real motherfucker, bro. Like, I have soul. I haven't had my soul stolen. I haven't had my soul corrupted by money and greed, by the pursuit of fame and clout, by, situationships, jobs, just bullshit. So much of the world, so many fucking people in the world are totally blinded by bullshit pursuits, basic common shit, just material possessions for clothes, status, a like, a click, a fucking view. And you can be like that like everyone else. That's fucking fine. But I'm not gonna just sit back and shut the fuck up. I don't care if nobody listens to this podcast. I don't care if nobody ever fucking listens to it. I'm deciding in this fucking moment that I'm going to continue this fucking podcast until I no longer need to do it based on being so fucking rich I can go sit on an island somewhere and fuck off, or until I'm fucking dead and my voice no longer can speak to this world. This is the Free Minds Podcast. This podcast is a rallying cry for you to free your mind. This podcast is a rallying cry for those individuals who have freed their minds. Many people did free their minds during the pandemic. That is something to be applauded. Many people did have spiritual awakenings. But what I want to tell you is, I am 10 years ahead of you. I started that pandemic otaku lifestyle, having to stay in the house, quarantine, bro. That's called being a fucking hikikomori. That was me at fucking 18, 19, before I fucking went to college for a year. Got back on the track with my shit. Because after I fucking dropped out, I was renegade for years. Sophomore year, I basically dropped out of school. I switched over to charter school, and I went to charter school till I was 18, and then I just quit going. So from 16 to fucking 19, you know, that's when I became a polymath. That's when I started researching. I was researching world mythology, ancient world history, fucking literature, film, TV, animation, the history, the evolution of entertainment media, the evolution of fiction. Because fiction is TV and movies as well, but it goes back to originally it was just written shit. And before that, it was spoken stories and fables, folklore. I've studied all this shit, bro, and other subjects. And I don't say that to brag. Some people would say, this fuck motherfucker talking a lot of shit. He doesn't really know that shit. Okay, that's fine. But my point is, I dropped out of school to become a polymath. I was still making music. I was rapping. I already had started writing literature at 16. When I dropped out to rap, I also started writing literature. I also decided I was going to be an author and eventually make anime. I decided all that shit at fucking 16 years old, bro. Like, motherfuckers were telling me I was crazy and shit. Had to go to psychiatry. They fucking were doing experiments on me, putting fucking, you know, wired up cap over your head where they have you, like, looking at images and clicking buttons to see your fucking brain response. All that shit, bro. I've been through all that shit. So by the time I was 19, you know, I was just isolated. I mean, I would still go kick it with my friends and smoke weed and shit, but, you know, in a lot of ways, I was a hikikomori. That's what being a hikikomori is. Hikikomori is associated with otaku culture and anime culture, but really it's just the phenomenon of, you know, it happens, you know, it's more so associated with younger people, you know, when you're going into late adolescence, into adulthood. It's what happens when you don't fit into the fucking mold of society, what they want you to do. It's mainly unique people with unique perspectives. You know, some people might call people like that socially awkward. Some of those people might have been on the spectrum. But being hikikomori is where you just don't leave the house. You don't want to participate in society. You don't, you know, you just start living the house. And when you stay in the house too much, it does develop into a form of psychosis. I am a recovered hikikomori. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, this was 10 years ago. I was battling this. You know what I'm saying? I'm a master otaku. You know what I'm saying? That was back then. So that's, you know, I don't really have like a general, like, specific theme or premise for this podcast other than, like I said, this is the Free Minds podcast. This is for free minds. And I don't know how many free minds are out there. I don't know how many minds are free. But if you are a free mind, this is a place where we're going to talk about freedom of mind. And I don't mean we're going to just sit here and talk about, I have the freedom to think what I want. No, we're just going to talk about random bullshit, just like any other podcast. Any great podcast, they're just bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? They're just cutting up, kicking back, bullshitting. But I have a lot of shit to say, and a lot of times most people don't want to listen to what I have to say. So I feel like it's so stupid. Why don't you have a podcast? That's what podcasting is. It's just talking. I could talk all fucking day. I have so much shit to talk about, so much shit to explain. But TikTok has corroded and eroded the minds of the masses of those who use TikTok. You know, more specifically like millennials, Gen Z, and, you know, more so Gen Z than millennials. But I'm sure there's millennials out there that are, you know, on the TikTok train. They've corroded your attention span. And even more dangerously, this is serious. What I'm about to say is very serious. TikTok has taught the masses not to take anything seriously. You know? Well, it's not that serious. It's just a joke. It's just for a laugh. That's what people want. They just want to look at a TikTok and get a laugh. It's not that serious. If you're not serious about anything, you can be set up for everything. They're set up for anything. If you're not serious about everything, you can be set up for anything. You know what I'm saying? Because the people of the world are so distracted and have such a limited attention span and have no interest in a deeper knowledge of self or a mastery of reality or even a comprehension of the the truth that you do control your reality with your perception, and nothing else has control of your reality. Money does not control your reality. The government does not control your reality. No person controls your reality until you give someone else that power. If you're a free mind, the only thing that shapes your reality is your own perception and your subconscious mind, and your ability to blend your conscious and subconscious mind to become an awakened mind, an illuminated mind, a free mind. Everybody is caught up in a false identity matrix. The way this works, you dictate what your reality is. You dictate it. But it's based on how much control do you have over your subconscious mind. Are you ruled by vice? Are you ruled by propaganda? Are you controlled by fear and anxieties? These are things you must eliminate through self-therapy. I don't believe in therapy. I don't believe it doesn't help people, but I don't believe in a necessity for it for myself personally. Some people, I understand, not everyone can do self-therapy. Not everyone else is in a position to do self-therapy. I understand that. But if you begin to access the full potential of your mind through mystic practice, through shamanism, you can free your mind. You can achieve heightened states of being, and you can control your reality. That's how this goes. You can be the one in the pilot chair if you really devote yourself to eliminating the things that hold you back, eliminating false perceptions of self-deception, imposter syndrome, anxieties, fears. Release yourself of that shit. Do some self-therapy, smoke some weed, do some shrooms with someone who's familiar with psychedelic mushrooms. I don't advise anybody to use any form of psychedelic hallucinogen, anything stronger than weed, by yourself without an experienced guide. I have become accustomed enough to shrooms that I can do shrooms by myself. A lot of people, it's becoming more trendy. More people are doing shrooms. But I do advise you, if you're not familiar with the use of psychedelic hallucinogens, to be a little bit cautious. Don't just jump all the way in. Maybe, have somebody who's done them before at least, just to, help you get your feet wet. Psychedelic hallucinogens are a powerful technology we have on this planet to attain higher states of being and to achieve higher extents of reality within your mind's perception. It's an ancient technology. You think this iPhone is fucking technologically advanced? It's nothing compared to a fucking psychedelic mushroom. And it's nothing compared to your fucking brain or your pineal gland. You have the power. What dictates your reality is whether or not you're conscious of who you are, what your purpose is, what you are as a being. You have to know. Most people don't know, because most people, their shit is dictated by their job, who they're with, what they do, their pursuit of money and basic vices. So they don't have a true sense of purpose. They're not avatars of their own fucking being. They're not protags. If you're an NPC and you're not a protag of your story, you don't have control of your story. That's how it works. If you're not out here protagging, that means you exist in the false identity matrix. So when you don't control reality, reality is dictated by the ones who have the power to control your reality, by the power holders, which is the government, the corporations, your boss, negative people, weaponized NPCs. All of these individuals, they get the power. That's when you have little mishaps and shit start happening in your daily life. You're like, oh, why the fuck did this happen? Why did this happen? It's because you're not living in a harmonious equilibrium, a full balance, like you're supposed to. So if you don't want to take responsibility for your mind, the false identity matrix, the government and all these other forces, your job, your boss, whoever, they will take control of this reality for you, and they'll write the story. And that's facts. That's facts, bro. There's a concept from ancient Egypt called Hotep. In the black conscious community, Hotep is kind of like a derogatory term. If you're someone who's into black consciousness, African culture and history, our real history and our real culture and our real spirituality as the black race on this planet, they call you that. They say, well, you're Hotep or you're Hotepin. Like, oh, you're a Hotep nigga. That's like the term. If you're not familiar at all with that, that's what the term Hotep is in modern times. But in ancient times, Hotep means to be at peace. And you attain Hotep, a state of being, to be at peace, by honoring Ma'at or Ma'at, who is the goddess of harmony, justice, balance, basically the immense goddess of the universe, which is its own principle. If you honor that within yourself, you're able to achieve Hotep, to be at peace. You have no anxiety, you're at peace. You feel no lack. You have as much wealth as you require to continue your existence. I want to introduce you to another term, Kundalini, but before I go to that, let me finish with Hotep. So Hotepin, you know, that's like, oh, you're black conscious, you know, but it goes deeper than that, because the reality is mysticism and the ancient mystery systems all originate from ancient Egypt. Kemet is the true name of ancient Egypt. Kemet is the African name of ancient Egypt. Egypt is the white name, the academia, or if you don't want to say white, the colonized name that it was given, you know, as a colonized territory on this planet. That's the name that they use for like Egyptology, where they're stealing artifacts and then putting it in British museums and making up what it means, have no basis for any of their findings. They just make this shit up. So the ancient mystery systems, they all date back to Kemet, but then really they date back to before Kemet. Ancient Egypt is presented to us as like the earliest point of civilization, and before that we're supposed to believe that we were monkeys who evolved through the ice age and became people, which is a lie. Well, at least for some of us. I don't know, some people might have evolved from monkeys, but as far as I would say, even for the Neanderthals and the quote-unquote colonizers, I don't even think they evolved from monkeys. I think they might have been barbaric people who came out of mountains, you know, came out of the Caucasus Mountains, came down here and became Vikings. I do believe that, but I'm not going to go as far as to say they were monkeys. I'm half white, so I can say this shit. I'm half white and I'm half black. So I can say whatever I want about black shit. I can say whatever the fuck I want about white shit. I don't go for that colorism. You're half black with a white mom. You're not really black. I don't go for that shit, bro. Like, nigga, I got urbanized, you know what I'm saying? I kicked it with all my friends, went to the hood. I'm not hood. I'm not a gang member. I don't try to present myself as hood, but I'm not a whitewashed, logic-ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am who I am. You know what I'm saying? But I'm proud of my Africanality, and I've done extensive research into the true history of the African people on this planet. Not the African people, but melanated beings, because Africa is a name that was given to the continent after it was conquered. It comes from like a Greek general, Africanus or some shit. So Africa isn't even the true name, because the reality is this whole continent is Africa. I mean, this whole planet. Every continent is part of Africa. And we're all the human race. Melanation is just a matter of your pigmentation. The fact that people have allowed us to be divided into different ethnic and racial groups, and that people go along with it, that's racism. Because the reality is, all of our ancestors, if you date back far enough, they're all the same, and they all happen to be ancient Nubians who were melanated black people. You go look at the old pictures of the Native Americans before they were colonized here in North America, they all had dark complexions. The Incans and the Aztecs, the original indigenous people over in Asia, you go back and look at what pictures there are of the oldest times and shit, you can tell they have dark complexions. They had more melanin. We all have the same ancestors. It doesn't take away from your culture to, you know, to come to the realization that your ancestors and mine are the same. The ancestors of ancient China are the same as my fucking ancestors, because those ancestors of ancient China were originally Nubians You know what I'm saying? Who took over the fucking continent over there in Asia. And then, you know, they passed on Shaolin and Kung Fu and all that shit. And it's all spread throughout the world. That's not something that you should perceive as offensive. There's only one species of human. A black person, a white person, an Asian person, a Latino person. We are not different species. We are not different species. We are humans. So that implies we all have the same ancestors. You've allowed propaganda based on indoctrination in a false education system to create this idea of we're all separate races and da-da. No, we're not. No, we're not. Even the colonizers, they're still humans, as far as we know. And newsflash, there's no such thing as reptilians. I'll get into that. But my point is, the ancient mystery systems, they all date back to ancient Egypt, okay? And Hotep, to be at peace, that's a true way to be. And that's the way they were in the prehistoric Africa. And by prehistoric, I just mean prehistory. So before Kemet, Kush. The ancient empire of Kush was a world empire, the Kushites. And they built Egypt. And then, of course, the history goes back farther than Kush. But for me, I consider Kush the oldest civilization in terms of the historical record, as far back as we can, like, you know, kind of go back. I mean, we can't go back and see really what it was like, but there's a book called Wonderful Ethiopians of the Kushite Empire by Drusilla D. Houston, published in 1926. You can go read that book. And it breaks down that Kush is the first world empire. There was different civilizations before that. Of course, there was Atlantis, there was ancient Lemuria, all of that kind of shit back when they had starships, and there was different alien races and, you know what I'm saying, gods and different avatars and spiritual forces and spiritual conquests and spiritual wars, all that kind of shit. But that shit has become lore. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and expect you to believe any of that. I don't even know what parts of that I believe. Not saying that it's not true, but I don't know what's what and what really happened. I mean, it's too far back. It's in the Akashic Records. It's in the Akashic Records. We'll get to the Akashic Records if you're not familiar with that. But Hotep means to be at peace. So my philosophy on life, I call it Hotepism, which just means to be at peace. I call it the proper way for being, to be at peace. To eliminate that which does not serve me from myself, like from my own identity and mind and heart and soul, eliminating that which is negative and just aligning myself with the natural state of being. You know what I'm saying? Another term I use is called Jah Aten. Jah means the natural spirit of life. Aten is the mind of the universe. So when you pair the natural spirit of life with the mind of the universe, you enter the kingdom of God, which is the God mind state, the illuminated consciousness of Vishnu. So that's Hotep, to be at peace. And the way that I achieved Hotepism, the proper way for being, the way that I've acquired this extent of knowledge, was through Kundalini. Kundalini is the energy network of the human body that connects us to that which is divine or that which is ethereal, the immense, the infinity of the universe. You have 7 chakras: the root chakra, base chakra, core chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, mind chakra, crown chakra. There's different, people use different terms. Those are terms I use because that's just how I know where they're at. You know, the root chakra is somewhere near the genitals, towards the base of the spine. Basically, if you store your sexual energy instead of releasing it, it'll become a electrical surge, a radioactive electrical surge that travels up the spine through each chakra to the mind, to the pineal gland, and then up into the crown chakra, which allows you to tap into the infinite potential of your supreme being. Your soul is actually bigger than your body. So your aura is the point at which your soul extends from outside your body, because your soul is bigger than the body. Think of it like if you had a 10-foot tall energy shadow self around yourself at all times, walking around, and it's like an energy shield around you. That's what you have. But depending on how strong you are spiritually, you might have a weak aura. But your soul is bigger than the human body. I guess at one time we were as big as our souls. That's what they say. So Kundalini is the system we have for us to achieve freedom of mind, for us to become free minds. And I don't expect everybody to really be able to latch onto maybe everything I'm saying. I'm saying a lot of different shit. I'm throwing a lot of different shit out there. In future episodes, I will, specify about different shit. But essentially, if you live in accordance to the immense goddess by way of Kundalini, and mind you, the immense goddess is a principle. In ancient times, gods, they weren't to be worshipped as a deity the way we worship God now in the monotheistic religions. Gods were different principles and concepts that represented something metaphysically, symbolically. So the immense goddess is Kundalini. She is the immense goddess. Your immense goddess, she's not like floating out in space. It's the Kundalini within you. It's your own divine feminine energy within you that you must align with. Or if you're a woman, you must align your divine masculine energy with your divine feminine energy. But once you align the dual polarities through Kundalini, you attain Hotep, to be at peace. Hotepism, the proper way for being. You eliminate anxiety, fear, all of the things that the propaganda of media and this modern world propel forward. And you don't have to be confined to that cage. You don't have to be confined to that mental prison. You can be a free mind. So if you have a free mind, seek a free mind, or just want to hear what the fuck we have to say here in the Underground Village, watch the Free Minds podcast. Total Shock Entertainment.